Good morning from Washington. It's Tuesday, January 14th, 2013. This is the Daily Rundown. We're going to take a look at the path the Clintons are on to once again take charge of the Democratic Party. And when they're in the spotlight, there's pros and cons. But let's get right to my first reads of the morning, and they begin in Trenton. When Governor Chris Christie delivered his State of the State address last year, New Jersey was recovering from Superstorm Sandy. His approval rating was at an all-time high.
The people of New Jersey have come together as never before, across party lines, across ideological lines, across ages and races and background.
This afternoon, as Christie lays out his priorities for the coming year in a speech to state lawmakers, even his push to bring tourism back to the Jersey Shore. After Sandy is now under attack, no speech Christie has given is likely to be parsed as closely as the one he'll give this afternoon. Although a new poll shows that Americans nationally are just tuning into the Christie scandal, just 18% are following it very closely, and just 16% said it made them view the governor less favorably. It's a different story on the state level. A Monmouth University Asbury Park press poll finds 83% of New Jersey residents are paying close attention to this story. 64% say the Bridge Lane closures were political retaliation. 80% expect that more Christie staffers will be implicated in the scandal. 52% think Christie knew about his staff's involvement before the news broke, and just 33% say that they believe that he learned about it after the emails became public. 51% say Christie hasn't been completely honest, compared to 40% who believe he has come clean. All that said, Christie's job approval rating remains right near 60%, though it has slid 6 points from a month ago. Christie may have a long way to go to convince his constituents he's telling the truth. But as Bill Clinton proved, if voters believe you're doing a job well, you can survive. Remember, Bill Clinton's "I did not have sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky" press conference was just the day before his 1998 State of the Union. By the time Clinton gave that speech, the scandal was at a fever pitch. But Bill Clinton spoke for 72 minutes and never mentioned it. The next year brought a lot of dark days for the Clinton presidency, including impeachment, but Clinton was able to rebound. And it now remains to be seen whether Chris Christie can do the same. As a political performer, many compare him to Bill Clinton. So today, Christie will do his best to refocus on policy, specifically on education. Christie will also ask the legislature to, quote, put politics aside. But the big question is, will Christie make any direct reference to the bridge controversy? It's not clear there's an upside for him to talk about it, but we'll see. Meanwhile, let's look at this drip, drip, drip issue for him. There's investigations now everywhere, and it's become a little bit like drinking from a fire hose. There are so many investigations and inquiries that are formally being launched, it's tough to keep them straight. We're going to do our best for you. On Monday, New Jersey Democrats launched 2 probes with subpoena power. And beginning Thursday, lawmakers plan to subpoena Christie's former top advisors, his former deputy chief of staff, Bridget Ann Kelly, and his campaign manager, Bill Stepien. Now, Assemblyman John Wisniewski, chairman of the Transportation Committee, will lead the State House probe.
Our job, our concern, is that there was apparently a very massive abuse of power and an attempt to conceal that abuse of power.
Meanwhile, State Senator Loretta Weinberg will lead a special bipartisan panel in the state Senate. They, too, will have subpoena power. Then there's the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. They are reviewing whether any federal laws might have been broken. It's an inquiry now, not necessarily a formal investigation. Assembly Democrats, meanwhile, have asked the Monmouth County prosecutor to investigate whether David Wildstein's insistence on pleading the Fifth, for which he was cited with contempt, may have broken any state law. Democrats also want the Bergen County prosecutor to investigate the lane closures. And by the way, his term ends next week. As for Christie, he's considering whether to keep that Democrat on the job or replace him. Then there's the federal audit. Democrats urged the HUD Inspector General to look into Christie's use of Hurricane Sandy recovery money to pay for tourism marketing that starred both Christie and his family.
I don't think there's any question that, this was an effort to promote him. But the problem is it was at the expense of money that from the taxpayers that could have been used for other Sandy purposes.
Meanwhile, a Christie spokesperson said Monday, quote, "We're confident that any review will show that the ads were a key part in helping New Jersey get back on its feet after being struck by the worst storm in state history." Here's a striking thing right now about Team Christie's response to all of this. There have been very few blind quotes, any on-the-record tongue lashings, things like that, and a whole lot of Thank you, sir. May I have another? It's not an accident that no prominent New Jersey Republican or member of Christie's team has spoken out against any of these probes. The governor so far appears to want to make it clear that he's cooperating, doesn't want any hint that they're fighting any of this. But the governor and state Republicans may also be hoping that somehow Democrats overplay their hand. That's what Democrats nationally have come to rely on Republicans in Congress to do, and perhaps New Jersey Republicans are hoping that's what New Jersey Democrats end up doing. We shall see. We're going to have live coverage of Christie's State of the State at 3 p.m. right here on MSNBC. By the way, before all this mess, this State of the State was going to be watched very closely. Why? Because a lot of people were going to assume that it was going to be the launch of a policy campaign of sorts for Chris Christie to launch a potential presidential campaign, and borrowing a page from George W. Bush, education being a big part of it. So more hints to that. But now we're in a whole new ballgame.